What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon GO Battle League content. In today's video, we're taking a look at a team in the Retro Cup that smashes this trainer past expert rank and beyond. This team is going to feature a Shadow Dusknoir on the lead, having that heavy, fast move pressure and Astonish, as well as the unresisted Shadow and Dynamic Punch coverage, makes Dusknoir an extremely strong early game option to get shields and put a lot of pressure on opponents that don't directly hard counter it with something like Furret, which is also on this team. Furret is in the back as it is a strong core mate to Dusknoir. Furret just in this meta in general. Dark type is almost completely unresisted in this format, and aside from fighting, I think that's really the only thing that resists the sucker punches. And Swift and Trailblazer are just very strong options to carry Furret through this meta. It's one of the best Pokemon. It's, I think, ranked number 2. So the other Pokemon on this team is going to be Toxapex, a very strong, bulky finisher on this team. Could be used in really any capacity, just using its bulk to win games. Let's get into these battles from SimonTheLeader here. If you'd like to send in battles to the channel for shoutcasting yourself, there's a Google form in the pin comment description you can use. Well, let's get into the games here. We're going to have the Dusknoir on the lead here against a Jumpluff, looking to fire off a Shadow Punch on alignment here, but just wants to make sure that we get that damage in before the opponent is going to be able to really do anything with their energy, because they're not going to throw a move until they get to the big move at 7 of their Fairy Winds. So the opponent's now going to come in with a Clodsire. Furret here is looking to just brute force itself through as much of this matchup as it can, but honestly, I can see a play here just to be making sure we can get Dusknoir back in here. It does resist the poison stings, going to allow it to do a lot of farming if it wants to, even if it has to spend a shield, right? This team is so bulky, Dusknoir is going to get your shields 9 times out of 10. So we're going to see the Clodsire go for a Stone Edge. It does not need to full send an Earthquake here, and Dusknoir is probably looking to come in, and it's nice that we were able to pull out this Clodsire here before the Toxapex hit the field, because that is a very strong answer to our poor Toxapex in the back. Now, opponent's going to be looking to make a pivot immediately to the Jumpluff with that energy that they had. Do we look to shield as well? I think so. We're going to see Jumpluff look to go for an Aerial Ace bait here, but now all shields are down, but the opponent's not going to be able to get to another charge move. Maybe they were looking to go for the big move, but in comes Grumpig. Grumpig having those Psy Waves doing super effective damage, hard and fast, into our poor little Toxapex here. Shadow Ball is going to do a lot of damage here. Looking to go for the Sludge Wave to either pressure the shield or catch the opponent off guard. Most people would bait in this scenario, but Sludge Wave gets full sent and full shielded as the opponent's looking to fire off some more Psy Waves and look to go for a move. But the opponent makes a mistake and overfarms by way too much. They could have thrown a Shadow Ball to cut this Toxapex off from the energy, but now it comes the Dusknoir for the combo play and is going to be able to take out this Grumpig in one fell swoop, and the opponent's out of energy on Clodsire. That's going to be a good game. Well played. Next game, we're going to have Dusknoir on the lead versus Jumpluff yet again. Here we go. One more time. Run it back. Let's see what happens. We're going to be going for those Astonishes, looking to chunk the damage. So this is a non-shadow, and the opponent looks to make a catch on a Rangaroo. This is rough, but Furret is licking his lips in the back, just saying, let me sucker punch in the middle of, just let me get a hold of this monkey and just sucker punch his face off. You're going to go for the sucker punches here. Not sure if we're looking to go for a sucker punch down or looking to maybe Trailblaze here, but opponent's going to ramp up their damage with the Trailblaze. Simon's going to be looking to fire off their own Trailblaze here, maybe realizing that they're not going to be able to get to a full farm down here, but the opponent's going to let that Trailblaze through, and in comes the Jumpluff with that energy that it had. Slight over farm, bit risky. The opponent did have 6 Fairy Winds. They could have thrown energy at some point here, but they're looking to get an over farm, knowing they can take a Swift, but that's a boosted Swift, and that now allows Toxapex to find its target against this Jumpluff, and Dusknoir has 2 shields to hide behind for whatever's in the back. The opponent's looking to go into their Grumpig, and in comes the Dusknoir, ripping this poor Peppa Pig in half with these Astonishes. The opponent's going to go for a Dynamic Punch bait here. Really no reason not to shield this, because you just have such a good alignment in the back. Opponent looking to go for a last-second charge move. They are going to have 1 HP, but it doesn't matter how many times they throw Dynamic Punch here, because in comes the Jumpluff to meet its maker, and Toxapex is way too healthy for this Jumpluff to do anything in the endgame with the amount of HP that it has. Unfortunately, Dusknoir is only getting 1 charge move off. The opponent did fire off their move right away, but that's okay, because in comes Toxapex to just ruin the opponent's day and get rid of this Jumpluff. That's going to be a good game. Well played. All right, next game. Anyway, no, that was the end of the first set. Okay, we go for, okay, we missed 2 games, 3 games, but hey, Expert, let's go. We hit Expert, but there's more games. Don't go anywhere yet. There's more games where that came from. You can see how this team functions at higher than Expert. We see the third Jumpluff in a row. My goodness. These things are everywhere today, apparently. Jumpluff is going to end up getting itself taken off guard here as Dusknoir again goes to throw on alignment to force this Shadow Punch through, and then look to safe swap into the Furret to try to absorb some of this energy. The opponent does go for a charge move here. Could be an Acrobatics, but, you know, Simon's just like, it's fine, doesn't matter. They do end up calling the Aerial Ace, and now they have enough, I believe, for 2 moves here. And Acrobatics would be pretty deadly here, but they're just going to go for another Aerial Ace, and then the opponent's going to swap into a Shadow Dragonair, a menace in this cup. Retro Cup does not allow Dark, Steel, or Fairy Pokemon, and 2 of those are pretty much the only things that resist the Dragon typing. There is, I believe, no other things that resist the Dragon typing, so Dragon Breath in this cup is extremely just hard to deal with here, but the opponent's going to no-shield their Dragonair and not look to take switch advantage, which may or may not cost them this game here. Toxapex comes down into the field of play here to look to try to farm down this Jumpluff, and Jumpluff looking to go for a last-second Aerial Ace before going down, but the opponent switches into... Huh? Holy mother of Flygon, I love this person. The Spice, bro. Oh my goodness, no, they get farmed down, but no, the Flygon, please tell me that it can do enough damage. This Flygon is extremely frail. Are they full sending? They know, they go for the Dragon Claw bait. No, come on, we have to be able to go for the move. Get the farm down, something, please get rid. Oh my goodness, they're gonna get swept by Flygon. Man, this is the kind of stuff I would be like, man, of course, I have Toxapex, and of all the things you could have in the back, it's a Flygon, man. That's okay. Flygon's gonna get that Dragon Claw, but it's not enough, and Jumpluff is gonna end up going down. Never mind, it was already down. I lied. There's great game. Well, wow. Great example of Toxapex just throwing its bulk around. Anyway, next game up, we're gonna have Astonish Dusknoir into a opponent's excuse me, Magcargo, and Magcargo is going to be looking to go for a move right away. A full Astonish does sneak through. Rock Tomb is going to do quite a lot going unshielded, and we're going to be looking to go for the Shadow Punch here, maybe trying to fool the opponent into thinking there's a Dynamic Punch coming out. Opponent decides to go ahead and let it go, but now Furret's going to come in to catch the next move. This is going to be a Rock Tomb. We could have gone for a Shadow Punch to eliminate the Magcargo, but I don't hate this. The opponent's going to come in with Lurantis. I'm sorry, they came in with a what? Do mine eyes deceive me? No, that is absolutely Lurantis on my screen. I got cooked by a Lurantis today. As I'm recording this on, is it Thursday? You guys are seeing, no, Wednesday. You guys are seeing this on Thursday. Yeah, Toxapex just comes in here and completely just shuts down Lurantis, making it so that it can only go for these Leaf Blades here. That superpower it's got is completely useless, but it's not going to be able to get to a, nope, they're getting to the farm. No farm down here. The opponent does have a move ready. Leaf Blades are going to do quite a bit of damage here, and in comes a... Oh, no. Not the Drifblim. Yeah, that's going to be game over. Toxapex isn't doing anything into a Drifblim. Opponent's going to shield it because why the heck not? Maybe Simon can try and get the final shield and land a Shadow Punch. I think that's about his only hope here. Looking to go for the Icy Wind. The opponent not going to be able to, not going to be able to do anything. The opponent just shuts him down. Of course, it's a Drifblim in the back. Good game. That's the one downside of safe swapping the Furret. That is the only downside of safe swapping. That is for another game in a row. We have a Jumpluff lead, and you see there's consistency, right? Simon has been winning the games against these Jumpluff leads by playing it this way, and so this is the way that he chooses to do it. Now, opponent's going to come in with a Psycho Cut Medicham, and that is just psychotic behavior. I don't know. Psychocutic behavior? I don't know. I was going somewhere with that one. But opponent can get a Dynamic Punch off, and that is going to do a ton of damage, but Dusknoir is now served with a juicy farm down, and the opponent's not going to be able to get to enough damage here with that Dynamic Punch. Yes, they can farm down, but at the cost of a shield, I don't know that that's worth it. Opponent actually ends up throwing on the CMP tie, and Simon's looking to go for switch advantage here, looking like he can get it. Ice Punch is reached. The opponent, can you get to another move? No, they cannot. Simon shields once, gets switch advantage. And now, what's coming in next? The Furret staring down the opponent. In comes the opponent's Furret, and now Toxapex actually has a very positive matchup into Furret. Now, this is why I think that Toxapex is here, because it's just a very strong answer neutrally to Furret. Now, Furret doesn't have the chance to go for Swifts or Trailblazes, whatever it likes to do here. They are going to go for Trailblazes, start ramping up that damage. You go for one Trailblaze, you could start going for the Swifts after that. Opponent's going to be looking to see if they need to shield here. Brian's going to be thrown out to see if the opponent decides to respect it. They do respect the Sludge Wave, and the opponent going for another charge move. We are living life on the edge right now. Opponent going for that double boost here, and I think that this Toxapex is just going to be too low, and unfortunately, I don't see Dusknoir having a move. They're going to take so much damage from these double boosted moves, and Dusknoir in the back looking to hope and pray that it can do something here, but these moves, these sucker punches are just gonna shred it to pieces, and you have to let this go. It's a Trailblaze, doesn't matter at this point. Simon knows the game is over. That's going to be a good game, well played. Part of me wonders if we shield there, do we actually get the farm down? Not going to find out, though, this game. We're going to have Talonflame in the lead, and we're going to be going for the Shadow Punches on... Looking to go for 1-on-6. That's fantastic. The opponent going to be looking to go for that good timing, but they are going to have to eat a Shadow Punch, and Dusknoir's fast move pressure is incredible in this matchup. Going to be able to go for 2 Shadow Punches before the opponent fires off a single charge move, and now we just come in with probably... No, the opponent's going to be going for... They could just go for back-to-back flies here. Toxapex, I assume, is going to... Oh my god, they're going Flame Charge! No! In comes the Furret, looking to absorb a move here. Is it the Flame Charge yet again? The opponent going for another Flame Charge. That's actually great. Now in comes Medicham. No, this is rough though, but Medicham is going to have to respect these Swifts. They can't overfarm by too much. We saw in the previous game how low they ended up getting after taking that second Swift. The opponent here, nipping along smartly, is going to be going for a charge move right before they get to the Swift. Ice Punch, however, is going to be enough, unfortunately. Toxapex now comes in, and it resists all of the energy from Medicham. Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch, doesn't matter. Medicham is just walled here outside of these Psycho Cuts, doing slight super effective damage, and Toxapex can just look to simply go for a full farm down, saving this shield. Does not have to shield a thing here, and if the opponent wants to come back in with that Talonflame, they're going to pretty much lose that thing immediately. The bird is going to go down to a brine, so the opponent's probably going to have to come in with their third Pokemon at this point. We're going to find out what it is. The entire team is looking pretty unhealthy here, but the opponent has the Jumpluff, and they catch on Talonflame! Oh no! Oh, that's tough. That's tough, but it doesn't matter because we still have a shield. Going for the catch on Dusknoir because we are doing filthy, disgusting catches today, apparently. Aerial Ace is going to nearly knock out, but the opponent can't get to the move. Oh, what a comeback, dude. What a comeback. The opponent can't farm down in time. Now they're at the Sludge Wave, and they're just going to lose it on CMP. Jumpluff, unfortunately, trying to carry the opponent's team on its back and is unsuccessful as the Sludge Wave is reached to clock out this Jumpluff from its shift at its day job. You have some resting to do there, buddy. Good game. Next game, we got Dusknoir on the lead versus Stunfisk. A bit of a core breaker for most teams, but not this one. You know, when Stunfisk, that pancake is sitting there menacingly. And Simon's looking to go for the Shadow Punch on good timing this time. Not looking to go for it on alignment here. Mud Bomb is going to do a bit of damage here, but we can go for the Dynamic Punch, which will do a ton of damage if left unshielded here. Opponent looking to let it go. And unlike Elsa, though, I don't know what's going to happen this month. I don't know where I was going with that one. But unlike Elsa, something's happening. But opponent's going to come in with a Jumpluff. Going to look to get a bunch of energy on Toxapex, on the Dusknoir, and come in with Toxapex. This is why I don't shoutcast any official events, because I get my tongue and my brain tied up in so many different ways. Goodness gracious. But opponent has 2 shields. The Toxapex has 1. However, these acrobatics not doing a whole ton of damage to this very bulky Toxapex. Going to be able to live another one and look to go for the Sludge Wave after taking some heavy damage here from these acrobatics. Toxapex looking to fire off the Sludge Wave. Opponent does not bother shielding, and in comes the Stunfisk. Can they get to the brine? The opponent either over-farming or does not have energy enough for a move. They're going to be looking to go down to the brine or shield. They're going to have to give up his shield, and Furret comes in to say, peekaboo, it's me. I'm taking this Mud Bomb to the face. Thank you very much. Mud Bomb going to do a little bit of damage, and the opponent's got a Primeape, but Furret gets to the move first. It does have the Swift here, able to go for neutral damage, but doing quite a lot with how glassy Primeape is. And if the opponent wants to go for a Rage Fist here, they're going to be having a bad time. They go for the close combat, permanently debuffing their defense here. Well, maybe not permanently, as they do have another Pokemon left, but Dusknoir is going to be able to come in and get 2 Astonishes in and make this Primeape feel pain as these Karate Chops do nothing. And we have 2 charge moves to be able to get to the KO here. The opponent's Pancake getting knocked out. They know it's over. They go ahead and no shield that last charge move. That's going to be a good game. Love this team. The Furret Dusknoir, Furret Grumpig, like there's a lot of really strong cores that revolve around Furret in this meta, and this team is definitely one of them. I tried a team similar to this with Primeape instead of Toxapex. I think that as long as you're nipping along with Furret and Dusknoir and probably just a solid third, or even if you want to use Grumpig instead of Dusknoir, all of those are perfectly viable options in this meta right now, and I think that this team is a really good one to be able to try to climb with. So let me know in the comments what you think about this. Catch you in the next one, y'all. Bye.